So, why Kant and the utilitarians? Well, I think every university graduate should have spent at least 11 minutes thinking about ethics, and some of those 11 minutes thinking about these two important approaches to ethics. One from Kant, idealism, and one from the utilitarians. You see the sigma sign there, the sign for summation that you've seen in statistics. We see also the great quote about idealism, that beneath this mask there is more than flesh, there is an idea, and ideas are bulletproof. You can't kill my ideas with a gun. Okay. These two approaches to ethics, very well known. One, Kant. He was an idealist. Idealist, I hear, meaning not a romantic optimist, but someone who thinks that the foundations of ethics lie in our heads, in ideas that we have, thus idealist. He worked mostly in the mid to late 18th century. His theories were theories of the right, as opposed to theories of the good that we'll see below in utilitarianism. He's famous for what is called the categorical imperative, which we'll look at in more detail in a few minutes. So we have Kant on the one hand, on the other, the utilitarians. Kant was German, from Königsberg. The utilitarians began in England with Jeremy Bentham, James Mill, and John Stuart Mill. They were empiricists as opposed to idealists. They thought ethical foundations lie in what is happening in the world, real world events and consequences. They worked over the course of about a century, from the late 18th to the late 19th century. As I mentioned, their theories are theories of the good versus idealist Kantian theories of the right. Utilitarians are known for a pleasure or utility or happiness or good calculus. That is, what is the greatest good for the greatest number? We'll talk about that more in a minute. So what we're going to do with both of these approaches is to look at three things. First, where do ethical foundations lie for these two approaches? Second, what does ethical action consist of? And third, what are the virtues, the character traits that define an ethical person according to each approach? So we start with Kant. Theories of the right thing to do. We start then with ethical foundations. And we begin with intentions, with ideas that we have in our head. The collection of our intentions is our will, what we want to do. Voluntad. The good will is the only good thing, the only purely good thing that exists in all the universe for Kant. It is the only thing human beings have complete control over. The only thing they can be sure is good. It is their own, their will. That's where ethical foundation lies, with intentions in our heads. Ethical action is doing what is right, and that means following your intentions, doing your duty, fulfilling your obligations, regardless of the consequences. You do what you know is right without being concerned about what will happen in the world as a result. That's ethical action. Virtues Virtues are the character traits that promote people doing the right thing, doing their duty. This is being able to understand. This is understanding, a character trait of discernment, ethical discernment, but mainly of discipline. Being able to do the right thing, doing what you know is right, even though it might hurt you, even though others might be hurt as well. Still, we're left with a question. How do we know what the right thing to do is? And this is where the categorical imperative comes into play. First, look it up on the internet, the categorical imperative. See what it says. Write it in your own words to try to help you understand what it means. Here we go, together. Kant and his categorical imperative. In formal language, it is, quote, act only according to that maxim whereby you can, at the same time, will that it should become a universal law. That is, do only that thing that you would require that everyone do all the time and everywhere. This is where the phrase, well, what if everyone did that, comes from. That would make it wrong. So, do only that thing that you would turn into a law that would apply to everyone everywhere. It's an unquestionable rule. Turn back now to the utilitarians. Not theories of what is right, but theories of the good. What is good in the world? So again, foundations. We start with foundations. Kant started with intentions in our minds as an idealist. Utilitarians, empiricists, they start with the world. What are good and bad things? Better or worse conditions that exist in the world? What are good and bad states of affairs? Not what we think would be right, but what is actually good and bad that actually happens to people. Ethical action, from the utilitarian point of view, is based on the notion that actions have consequences in the world. Ethical action is an action that increases pleasure or good and decreases pain or bad. The virtues, for utilitarians, are character traits that tend to seek ethical action, always looking at the consequences, not thinking about intentions. Intentions are purely secondary. It's what actually happens to people in the world that counts. The character traits, the virtues in this case, are being able to figure out what is necessary, what action to take, being able to figure out what will cause good, how much good will it cause, what will cause harm, how much harm will it cause, what are the different harms, the different goods, how to compare those. So one virtue is being able to do this calculation. Another virtue is being action-oriented, not intention-oriented. You're going to go out and do things in the world that will have, you hope, you wish, you intend, good consequences. Theories of the good. Seek the greatest good or pleasure or happiness or utility. Utility, a word that you may have seen in your economics courses. Utility maximization. This is where it comes from, the utilitarians. Seek the greatest good for the greatest number of people. And there we have the sigma, the summation sign. and even a joke that could be applied to utilitarians as a critique of utilitarians. Your organs could save 5 people, so you should kill yourself. This would be anathema to Kant. You should never kill yourself under any circumstances. It's the wrong thing to do. It doesn't matter what the consequences are for other people. A utilitarian might make this calculation. Both these approaches, both these theories, are what philosophers call elegant. They are well argued, persuasive, detailed, and as I say, seemingly convincing and complete. You hear one of them explain, you think, well, of course, you need to do the right thing by having the right intentions. Or, of course, you need to do what's good for the largest number of people. But we have critique here because both theories, though elegant, detailed, and persuasive, cannot both be true at the same time. If one of them is fully right, the other cannot possibly be right. Even though we know of situations where people use one or the other or both to make a decision. Leaders, family members, or ourselves. Turns out the theories are imperfect. Even though many people use one or the other for making a decision, and it seems obvious that X is right because it's fulfilling obligations, doing duty, for keeping with responsibilities, doing the right thing. Or Y is good because it would benefit many, many more people. It seems these things are obvious, but frequently they are incompatible, even contradictory. Some specific critiques, there are many, for both approaches to ethics, but a couple of the basic ones are here, one for each approach. For example, a Nazi might say to Kant, "It is my absolute duty to save the master race and eliminate or enslave inferior races." This is a maxim, a rule that I would apply to everyone, everywhere, at all times. It seems to fit with the requirements of the categorical imperative. So it must be right in Kantian terms, must be the right thing to do. A Nazi wouldn't consider it his or her duty to do this. But Nazism is almost universally considered evil. Something is seriously wrong here. Now on the utilitarian side, we see in the purple writing that there are no set guidelines to decide whether one person's pleasure outweighs someone else's pain. How can you compare these things? To the utilitarian, we ask, how can we make valid calculations and comparisons? How can we calculate and compare, say, one good, good X, right? If we have 10 million euros, we could spend it on public transport for 5,000 people. Or good Y, public health care for 3,000 people. What's the right thing to do? We have 10 million euros. What's the ethical decision? How can I compare the goods and the harms of these two decisions? It might not be possible.